Right, welcome back to War Tinder. So I have, just for a change of pace, recently acquired almost the complete Chinese helicopter lineup. That took a little while to grind. That is a massive understatement, by the way, because helicopter grind is awful in this game. But thankfully, when you go to the Army tab, you can check this little checkbox right there. Research of helicopters by playing ground vehicles. And since I have two, actually, well, if you count this, three premiums in the lineup, I can grind the helicopters semi-quickly. And of course I wanted to use them in sim. So I opted for two main helicopters to grind. First thing is the Z-11WA, which is the first helicopter you get, which is also a good helicopter because it features, I think, second-gen thermals at 8.7. The missiles aren't great, but you can see the whole battlefield. And at 8.7, the worst thing you can encounter is stuff like Gepards and stuff like that. So it's quite good. And then as a second higher tier option, the Z-19. Not the Z-10, the Z-19. I have this too, but the Z-19 has the advantage in the sim lineup of being available twice. So it's available in the 11-ish bracket and then again in the 12-ish bracket. So you can use it on 2 days, and this you can also use on 2 days, whereas the Z-10 is only available once in the rotation, and that is in the complete massive top tier region. So you can use this on two times in the rotation and this 2 times in the rotation, which means because I wanted to maximize my helicopter time, I focused on this and this. Additionally, as a third option, I also have this, and it's mostly done. So most importantly, on a helicopter are the ATGMs, and I have those. It will get the other stuff later, but for now, I've settled with this. So I have 2 videos coming up. This one, which is about the Z-19, and another one, which is about the Kiowa Warrior, the Taiwanese Kiowa Warrior, which is also really good. So let me quickly give you an overview over what the Z-19 actually does and has and can do and whatever. So first of all, it looks really cool, which is also always a very big part of what is important, at least to me. If this thing looked ugly, for me, subjectively, I wouldn't fly it, but it looks really cool. It's black and red elements are my favorite color combination. So yeah, that's one thing. So second, let me go into the X-ray. You get all the goodies, basically, right? So you get CCIP for all your weapons, dump weapons, cannons. You can equip a cannon for the rockets, for everything. It has an RWR. It has an auto tracker. Launch detection of 5 at once, threat types on scope 7, can track 10 targets at once. It gets a laser, of course, it gets a laser warning system. It has really everything. It has even a ground radar and an air-to-air radar. So, I mean, air-to-air not really, because you don't have radar-guided missiles, obviously, but you can see planes. The range is fairly narrow, it's 8 kilometers, but its main purpose is to be used against ground targets. So what you can do is, you get your little radar display, you see a target on the radar, you lock it, and the camera slews to this target, and then you can identify it, which is useful. I didn't get to use this particular feature yet, but it is quite cool. So what did I do? I played late at night, so I didn't want to talk in the microphone. I just recorded the gameplay, which means I will just go ahead, roll the video, and then I will narrate over what I did, how I did it, and why, and etc., etc., etc. So the main weapons of this thing are the AKD-9 air-to-ground missiles. They have a range of 6 kilometers, have laser and inertial guidance. I tried to use the inertial guidance. How I understood it is, once it's on its way, you can disable the laser and it goes the rest until the target on its own inertial guidance. However, I could not get this to work. So take that with a grain of salt. Maybe I understood it wrong, but yeah, I couldn't get it to work at all, which means I opted to keep the laser on the whole time and just use this. And secondly, this is basically an mobile anti-air platform, because additionally it can carry these air-to-air rockets, 8 of them. These are TY-90s. They are really slow for an air-to-air missile, but they have dual IRCCM. What do I mean with dual IRCCM? So in War Thunder, you either, as of now, as a time of recording, you either have an FOV type IRCCM, where the FOV shrinks down to a really small degree when you have locked onto an enemy. That is, for example, how the R-73 works. Or you have basically a turn-off type IRCCM. That is how the AIM-9M in War Thunder works, where the seeker just shuts off when it detects flares and relies on inertial guidance. Now this missile combines the two IRCCM methods, where the seeker turns off and shrinks. So this is the only missile, to my knowledge, in War Thunder that does this, and that as of now, again, might change in the future when we get AIM-9X and whatever, but as of now, this is the only missile that does this, and that makes it really strong and almost unflareable. So when you see a plane and lock it on and it's in range, it's going to die 99% of the times. Yeah, so I will roll now the gameplay, and I hope you have fun. Right, so for this match, we were on Sands of Sinai, which is a good for helicopters because there's a mountain ridge on the right side of the battle, which means you can go into cover there and snipe targets on these wide fields to your right, which is kind of interesting and good. So the cockpit is unfortunately a placeholder. It's not horrible. You have all the necessary instruments working. So for example, the climb and fall indicator, your speedometer. You have 2 screens in front of you, which you can switch the functionality of. So when you press the MFD buttons, you can cycle between, like, having a map view, for example, or the RWR there. I choose to have my flight instruments on the right side and my RWR on the left side. Having your RWR is obviously very important, because, well, something might target you and you would want to know from where. Inside this RWR display is also a laser warner, which displays basically a little green bar where the laser comes from. So if something lasers you from the right side, you see like a green bar lighting up in the RWR. So it's functional. It's not great, but it's functional. The visibility outside of the cockpit is, well, let's say it like this. If you're used to a 109 cockpit, you'll be fine. But it's not great, especially compared to things like the Kiowa Warrior, where you basically sit inside of a glass bubble. Here you are more constrained. It's not that you couldn't see anything, obviously, right? You can look out the window and you know where you are, etc. But it's not really great. Another thing that I have noticed is that the CCIP for the dump rockets does not work for some reason in the cockpit. So the circle that you can see in the front there, that doesn't move. So maybe I did something wrong, but I don't think so. It's a little bit off-putting. Again, I might have done something wrong, but the only thing that I could think of is select the weapon, and then I expect the pipper to change to the rocket pipper, but it didn't do it for me. I don't have them on right now, so in the match we are using the AKD-9, 8 of them, and 8 TY-90, so in case we encounter any enemy planes. The pipper in the cockpit, so the green and yellow circle, line up with the TY-90 seeker where it's looking. I think it's a little bit above the middle of the circle. So when you are aiming at a plane, put it a little bit above the center and then it will lock on. That's what I noticed. Regarding speed of the helicopter, it's okay. It's about hind level, I would say. So it's about like its comfy zone is about 200 kilometers an hour maximum. It can go faster, but there's a point. It's an attack helicopter. It's not supposed to win any races or to fly away from things. It just works. And the collective, oh, there we go. The collective hovers at about 50%, which is to expect. This thing right there, it just got taken out, but that is my main enemy, because that thing can fire, how is it called? Okay, just got one. So this thing, how's it called again? I can't remember. It's fire and forget missile that you get. So you don't get a warning for these, then you just blow up, which is unfortunate. So that's my main enemy. Outside of normal AA, at least for them you get a warning. There's the second target which we just splashed. Again, on this map is I think I got targeted here. And I'm struggling with the controls. That's another thing I want to mention. When you are in hover mode, you have to, if you want to get out of hover mode, you have to cycle through all the control modes to get back into dampening mode. But you first land in manual mode. You can't just select the dampening mode outright again. So you have to cycle through them, which is really annoying. And sometimes that means when you switch the modes too slowly, you end up almost uncontrollable. Which kinda sucks, but that's War Thunder for you. You can't just switch the mode you want directly, you have to cycle. Same as with the radars in planes. Yeah. So we got targeted there, I guess. And now he's given up for once, and I will just hop up back over this ridge and see what we can spot. So people have noticed me now. There is an AA up, which you can see in the other VOR. And I want to target this specifically. Sometimes I pre-fire these rockets before I actually have a target, because I want that the missile is already on its way when I'm targeting something. Like, for example, right now, right? So I fire a second missile there, but the first one hit already. So AA obviously is a priority target, as well as these. Oh, I remember, it's the Spike, right? Spike LR. Yeah, the Spike throwers. So AA has to die and the Spike things have to die. There's another thing up. I see its radar dish there. You can see that the thermal view on the helicopter is quite good. We are on the edge of our missile range. So the missile range is 6 kilometers and I'm targeting something at 5.6 or 5.6 kilometers. And it's dead as well. So one word about these AKDs. I think in War Thunder you have two types of helicopter AGMs in general when it comes to laser guided missiles. One type is it basically flies directly to the target in a straight line. Can't remember which ones exactly, but yeah. This is type 1. Type 2 is, that is what I prefer, like when it goes ballistic. you fire them and they go into an arc and then hit the target, which is what the AKDs do. You have seen that when I was targeting something, every time the missile came from above, which is of course preferable because it helps you to avoid obstacles, and it just makes sense because also on the missiles, or on the tanks, excuse me, the tanks have the weakest part of their hull or armor is on the top, so you would want to target them from above if possible, which is what they do again. I'm looking there at the enemy spawn of plane location because I have an AI on the RWR, which means either it's an air interception radar or it is something on the ground which qualifies as air interception. But you can see there's an F4E there, so it could be that he was looking at me for a short time there. Now this guy, I think it's a British tank. He just did nothing for some reason. So, yeah. I have another missile in the air right now that should splash it, yeah. So again, I just pre-fire these. So when I actually find a target, I can direct it. Just so pop up, fire 1 or 2 missiles, and then only search for targets. If they go to waste, doesn't matter, you have 8 of them, and you can always go rearming. That's how I offset the relatively slow missile speed, because they only go like 300-ish meters per second. I think the Hellfires are quicker, and they don't need to do this, but with these missiles I like to pre-fire them. And so that was quite a successful round. It's a little bit of a cherry-picked round, to be honest. So that doesn't always go this way, especially on maps where you don't have this kind of cover. When you actually have to pop out, for example, on the Poland map, I think it is, where it's just flat terrain. You can't really hide. You can hide, but if you hide, you can't fire. To fire, you have to unhide yourself. And that, you're basically getting lit up by everything on the map in terms of AI. How it flies, so short word about the flight characteristics of this heli. It's stable, I think. So you feel the weight. It's not a little bird. So if you know how the hind flies, it's a little bit like that, but let's say 20% lighter than a hind, but definitely heavier than a Kiowa or a little bird, or the initial variant of the Cobra. But it's easy to fly, so I didn't have any problems with it, especially because you get the flight instruments working in the cockpit. For example, when I land, I look at the right instrument, the top right instrument there, which is the climb fall indicator, to not get into a vortex ring, stuff like that. So I try to keep it within 5 meters of descent rate per second, just to not get into a vortex ring when I descend. If you pay attention to that, that should probably be okay. And this, so this guy we shot at last, the British tank, just blew up. I think he was AFK. So we set him on fire, and it took for him like 2 minutes or so to burn out, which is the last kill of this match. The last seconds or so, or the last 1 minute of the match is just flying back to the area where we came from and see nothing. So so one word or last word about the functionality would be the air-to-air radar. So you can see in the top left of the screen is the air-to-air radar. So you can switch it between AG, air-to-ground, and AA, air-to-air. I just had it in air-to-air mode because I wanted to see A, if I can see the Phantom, and B, I wanted to see if the air-to-air radar has IFF. Spoiler, it doesn't. Which means you might as well turn it off for air-to-air stuff. It's only 8 kilometers. And And yeah, so I don't know. It's not really useful in my opinion. So yeah, that was the gameplay of the Z-19. There is also a premium version available of this. Don't buy it. Why? Well, again, as I said in the beginning, you can grind helicopters with tanks in War Thunder. So if you just play your tanks, you can just divert the research points to helicopters. And there's not really a point to get a premium helicopter in this game. And the... what is that? Oh, it's a... from our... yeah, it's a Hind. So, yeah. The Z-19 tech tree version is better anyway, because at least it gets the radar. And the premium version doesn't. So that's that. I hope you enjoyed this round of helicopter gameplay, and until the next one. Bye bye!